In the early 80s, I started to feel my feet were very uncomfortable. When I had shoes on, it felt as if I had pebbles in the shoe. My toes were sore, and I was generally walking very clumsily. The following year, the similar symptoms in the hands, the fingers became sore, and gradually the fingers became numb, and then the hands became numb, and I didn't feel any joint sensation. I didn't feel any pressure on the feet, and it didn't happen overnight. It was taking years to progress, but as a few years later, the numbness and the lack of control moved up my legs. It could be tracked because I lost the hair on the legs. Similarly, I lost all the hair progressively up my arms. If you can't feel your hands, I could see them and they would do what I wanted them to do, but if I couldn't see them, I didn't know what they were doing. This meant I didn't really have any balance, so I couldn't stand or walk unless I was holding on to something. And in order to walk, I had to see my feet. So I tended to wear white trainers because I could see them in my peripheral vision. If you can't feel the pressure on the joints, you don't know whether your foot's on the ground or not. And I had several falls because I tried to walk, but my foot was stuck to the ground because I was still standing on it. So I very quickly learned to walk with a very plodding gait, and with the white trainers I could see that my foot was lifting off the ground because I couldn't sense it myself. Obviously the clumsiness and lack of finesse in the hands made everything in life difficult. Holding a knife and forks, coordinating to get the food to my mouth, cleaning my teeth. I could only grasp the toothbrush with my fist, and I had to look in the mirror to find where my mouth was. So life was very clumsy with everything. I lost the sense of grip. I could grip if I could see what was there, but I didn't know whether I was crushing it or whether it was just going to slip out of my hands. And obviously, when it progressed, the hands lost all their tactile feel. They became very dry, and I lost any. As it progressed, the skin didn't perspire, so I started to have problems controlling my temperature. I was treated with various treatments. Some were very successful. Steroids, for instance, prednisolone. Initially, I really felt a big improvement and recovery of the peripheral nerves, but within several years, they were losing their effectiveness, and in the end, they had to look for alternatives. And after trying several other treatments, they eventually found immunoglobulin had a very beneficial effect. But again, after a number of years, that started to lose its effectiveness. So by this stage, we're now talking approximately 16 years, the whole of my body had lost its sensation. And whilst initially things were very uncomfortable and there was a lot of pain and discomfort, once the peripheral neuropathy had spread throughout my entire body, I lost all sensation of pain, which was a benefit because life was a real struggle. The only things that I was aware of that weren't affected was my hearing. My optic nerve still worked, So I could see, but I couldn't feel my eyes, and I couldn't, the eyelids drooped and the muscles controlling the eyes were a problem. But I could sneeze, but I couldn't cough. It was quite a shock when I sneezed and everything worked. I lost the ability to, my face didn't exist. I couldn't feel it. And amongst other things, I'd lost my reflexes and my blink sensation. So even to this date, I can touch my eye and it doesn't particularly trigger a blink response. With regard, it wasn't just the skin that was lost. I lost sensation in the muscle, all the joints. I wasn't aware of the position. The swallowing was very difficult, and I could only swallow liquids if they had been thickened. I lost the control of my tongue with regards being able to speak and manipulate food. A lot of problems with choking. I lost my sense of smell and taste. The reflux was a serious problem, and the whole function of my internal organs were being affected at the final stages. When you don't feel anything at all, it was as though my brain was being carried around by a robot, because I could see my body and I could tell it what to do, but if I couldn't see it, it would drift off, and I had no idea where my feet or arms were if I couldn't see them. I was then eventually diagnosed with a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and after a course of chemotherapy, I started to feel some recovery of some of the peripheral nerves. So life started to improve after that, and there has been a degree of recovery, but there are a lot of areas of my body that haven't recovered. So there's permanent damage, but I've got much better feeling in my hands. Similarly with the upper torso and my face have recovered to quite a good extent, but without the legs working properly, not having any sense of balance, it impairs everything. Everything is affected by the condition.